What are you thinking about or working on in terms of the landfill issue, outsourcing versus fixing it internally? And that question for everybody.
Sure.
And so the issue is the landfill. And the second question, again, was what's your position on the sale of the city landfill and the garbage collection system? So maybe all the candidates can expound on that issue.
Okay, right now the city's looking at three options. One is keeping it, one is selling it, and the other option is privatizing it. And what we're doing right now, we're looking at the cost benefit to that. And one of the important things that we also must look at is it going to be better for us next year? We have to continue to look down the road. Is it going to be more cost effective for the citizens for the next 10 years? So right now, until we get that all that information in, what I want to do is make sure we have that information. Again, look at the costs down the road and the benefits to your citizens. Unfortunately, it's a big problem. It's something that, unfortunately, the state and DNR has imposed upon us. We're losing over $1 million that goes to the state and not back to our landfill. And I think if we can regain some of that, we'd have the opportunity to make the landfill function like it should.
So yeah, the landfill is probably one of the toughest questions we're going to face this morning, so it's nice to get it out of the way early. Mike outlined the options for the landfill very succinctly, but I have a couple more concerns with it. The other challenges that the landfill poses to us are, one, there's a limit to the amount of garbage we can put out there. So no matter what the solution is in the short term, we have to be able to address how we're going to deal with this 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road when we can no longer dump any garbage at all. At some point, our city's garbage and sanitation needs are going to change. I'm very committed to a long-term solution that treats this problem fairly. The city does have to receive all of the information before we can make an appropriate decision. I'm committed to a fair solution that allows people to pay for their garbage disposal in a fair way according to what they use. I'm concerned that your garbage pickup is the only utility you pay for that is not paid for by what you use, unlike any other utility you pay. So I believe that we need to be part of the solution. We need to be encouraging people to recycle and to compost so that you can only pay for the garbage that you're putting into the landfill. That said, the solution to the landfill is going to be a difficult one, and it will almost certainly involve paying more. This is something that has become more expensive for several years, and it's a problem that has taken too long to solve. I know it's going to be a difficult one, but we're going to have to reach out to the entire community and make sure that we prepare solutions that allow people to move forward in a fair way with all of the options on the table.
Like these guys said, the landfill issue is a large issue that's on our plate right now. And I don't think that we're looking at the other alternatives enough as we should be. We're talking about privatizing a landfill that's going to cost money to you guys. And that's the problem. I'm the same boat as you guys. Every time I get a new fee, it breaks my bank. And I can't handle that. I can't imagine what some other people are like around the city. How can they pay for it? So thinking about privatizing a landfill isn't really an option for us because our wages are not going up. It's just another expense. So my goal is to look at other alternatives. Like I said, I'm a part of the Sustainable Twin Ports, and I am a huge proponent of sustainable alternatives. I've seen opportunities out there to do lean, continuous process changes so that we can try to do other things with our landfill. I've also been approached about it's a machine that is supposed to take in all your garbage and sort it and recycle it, and then they can then sell it for the open market, which would, they think that they can clean out the entire landfill in 5 years. Granted, it's something new and it's something that needs to be researched. It might not be a great idea, but it's worth all the research for us to look into so that we can save your money.
This is the deep issue in the room, no pun intended. A little history about the landfill. The landfill out here, Superior's always had a landfill, publicly owned, publicly operated. There's only one other community in the state that does that, that's Janesville. The Janesville waste shed is huge. They have a huge landfill. It's a large garbage, if you will, supplied to the circle in the 100-mile radius. That's what they look at the radius for a landfill. The problem here is that our landfill has been upside down for a lot of years. When I say upside down, The general fund is subsidizing the landfill to the tune of about $1 million to $1.2 million per year. That is taken away from other services. Right now, the landfill is costing $6.1 million a year. The police department is about $6.5 million. So in about 2 more years, the landfill is going to cost more than the public safety, if you will. That's not a good thing. And every time we take more money out of the general fund, it reduces the opportunity for core services, police, fire, and public works, which are the 3 main core services of a community. I do not favor selling the landfill. Somebody's always saying that we're going to sell the landfill. That is something that has not even been on the table. The issue is what to do about the landfill. And there are options. Some are draconian, some are not. But the issue is it's upside down. It's supposed to be what we call an enterprise system. Enterprise systems are to maintain and sustain themselves. This landfill does not. We don't have a fee. We're only 2 landfills in Wisconsin. Janesville has a fee. That's how they can survive, plus the waste shed that they have. The problem with the landfill is not the operations. There's 3.5 people that work out there, maybe 4, forget. And then we have 4 people driving the trucks. To pick up the garbage off your curb is $600,000 a year. It's very efficient, very efficient. It's been $600,000 for like at least 10 years, so it hasn't moved. After it leaves your curb, that's where the problems begin. It cost $8 million a year ago to build a cell. The cell will last 10 years. It costs 2.5. Right now we're covering a completed cell that's full. It costs $1 million to get a permit to put a new cell in. This is all the state of Wisconsin and the EPA. The cost of managing and operating a landfill is not expensive if we didn't have these external costs. And here's one that's going to blow your mind. We pay the DNR, last year we paid the DNR $1.7 million for the privilege of putting garbage in our own landfill. They charge $13 a ton, we get no services back. If that disappeared, the $1.7 million fee that we have to pay to the DNR, we wouldn't be standing here talking about landfill because it would be sustaining itself. The other issue, which is positive and negative, is the tonnage out there has dropped dramatically because more and more people are recycling. That's a good thing. The city of Superior used to put 10,500 tons in our landfill. We're down to between 8,000 and 8,500 tons a year because recycling. WLSSD used to put in, or dump, if you will, about 115,000 tons. They're down to about 90,000 because of recycling. So the fewer tons that go in there, the less revenue that's achieved to pay for the debt, the landfill, the services, I shouldn't say services, the demand that the DNR has on us with regard to the fee they charge us. So it's a upside down issue, not only in revenue, but in cost because of the federal and state regulations, and on top of that, it's the DNR. I do not favor selling the landfill, period. That's an asset that we have. If we lose it, we have no control. And when we have no control, the private sector can charge what they want. But it has to be paid for. We can't pretend that it's going to go away. We need a solution, and that's what we're trying to work on now. Thank you so much.
So, you know, the question is, well, it's a public utility, public service, right? Public utility. And the question was, or the rumors were, the talk on the street is, and the talk at City Hall is, that selling it is an option. Selling it, in my assessment, is not an option. That's, it's a public service, a public utility that we have. You're right, it is an enterprise fund. But here's the thing, folks. It was a revenue, it did generate revenue, okay? Now it is having some issues. I have a question. I'm going to answer a question with a question. What private enterprise would buy it if it's such a huge liability? I can't imagine somebody would buy the landfill, being that it's this tremendous liability. And so, leaving that aside, the answer is it needs to be better managed. If it were better managed, it wouldn't be a problem. And again, I'm not going to get into specific. Well, I'll get into a few specifics. There was a failure at the landfill, and that failure cost the city a lot of money. Now, I'm going to point something out here. When those cells were designed, they were designed by an engineering firm, right? A private engineering firm. And engineering firms are bonded and insured for a reason. If their design fails, the bonding and insurance covers that failure. To my knowledge, that never happened. And so that was part of the problem. So there are many problems here, folks, but the core issue is how it's managed. It needs to be managed differently, and we can continue to have it as a public service and a public utility. And one additional point. My philosophy going into this is that every decision that we make, the consideration needs to be, how is this going to affect the working class and the middle class families in Superior? It has to be, because Superior is middle class and working class. More middle class than anything, or working class rather than anything. The fees hurt us. The fees hurt me. I'm a working class guy. I own my home here in Superior. We can't afford it. If this landfill is privatized, folks, there's an assessment that it could cost us anywhere between $40 and $60 a month. I can't afford that. I don't think any of us can afford that. We have to have a different plan here. And the plan has to be, we keep it as a public service, public utility, and we figure out how to manage it, and so it starts making us money again. Because that's what it used to do. It was a revenue generator. So that's all I have.